can't stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!
It's a good night. It's a good night here in New York at 7 o'clock on the nose, and what a nose it is. Right on the schnoz. I'm going to have a nice one tonight because we've got a Frankly calling in at 7:15ish that you have not met before. But they contributed really nicely to the Quite Frankly blog. They're a musician. They're one of you. His name is Brett Townsend. No relation to Devin Townsend of Strapping Young Lad. But anyway, it's good to have you here, ladies and gents. And I'm really happy for a Tuesday night, a roll around the block with you. And before our guest shows up, I just want to welcome you. I'm going to be announcing, I've got all the names set aside for this wonderful little giveaway that we're going to be doing. That'll be after the guest, though, so don't worry. I got, 80 names here get to pick from. We'll do that live. I also just want to say, hey, it's time for a roll call. Wherever you are, whatever chat room you're hanging out in right now, let everybody know where you're from. Either your city, your state, your country, whatever the hell it is, show everybody where we're reaching from tonight. That's it. Roll call, whether it's in the live chat or in the comments afterwards, and leave a like immediately. I also have there's a poll, a live poll in the YouTube chat right now that has to do with whether or not you've been having really messy dreams, like messed up dreams, not messy dreams, but messed up dreams. We know that with these things are cyclical. Sometimes it could just be personal. Other times it could just be what's going on with the planet. And that's one of the questions I'm going to ask of our second half guest, Matt from Cultivate Elevate. Cultivate Elevate. It's coming back for a little bit tonight. I told him, listen, we'd love to have you back. Let's talk about the government shutdown, the skies during the government shutdown. You know, his theory, because he has some theories about everything. I can't imagine that the auroras that were shown this past week and all that other stuff was. So we'll see what he has to do with that. I told him, let's make this. Let's hang out a little bit. And who knows? Just make this this appearance just a little bit less Holocausty. If we can just do a little bit less of that just for tonight, there's always other days. Anyway, that's what we got going on tonight, and I'm happy that you're here. That's number one. Now, also after our guest that we're going to be talking to in a few minutes, we'll just kind of pick through this house, the house that passed the bill to release the Epstein files. I believe that the vote was 427 to 1. 427 to 1. There were 5 not voting and 1 outright nay. We'll get to that whole thing down. We'll get to that, and then we'll just kind of speculate a little bit as to what that means, or you can just call in on that. I've got reels we can look through and calls that I'd like to take. And that'd be that. Here's the first one. Here's the first one I have for you right now. This is from CNN. Researchers say that they verified and sequenced Hitler's DNA. They discovered what they discovered is a controversial bombshell. Researchers have analyzed a sample of DNA believed to belong to Adolf Hitler, because nobody actually has his body. which they say reveals the dictator of Nazi Germany had a genetic marker for a rare disorder that can delay puberty. So I don't know what this means. Was Hitler trans? Was he a self-loathing trans? Is that what they're going to say? I don't know what this is. This is going to go in some really strange directions. The research, which took more than 4 years to complete, was 4 years. Can you imagine? Then again, I guess if the funding is there, if you got the grant money and the funding is there, I guess you can spend 4 years working on DNA that may or may not belong to Adolf Hitler, which took more than 4 years to complete, was led by geneticist Turi King, a professor at the UK's University of Bath, who is known for identifying the remains of King Richard III. King said she verified that a piece of material taken from a couch in the bunker where Hitler shot himself in 1945 was soaked in the dictator's blood by comparing a DNA sample recovered from the blood with a confirmed relative of Hitler's. You know, I got to be honest, I don't know what the official story is about the disposal of Hitler's body, if we're going to take the bunker suicide theory at face value. Let me see here. What happened with Hitler's body after the bunker incident? Let's see here. Adolf Hitler committed suicide in the Führer bunker on April 30th, 1945. Shot in the head. His staff carried out the explicit prior instructions for the disposal of his and Eva Braun's bodies to prevent them from being captured, displayed, and or desecrated. Okay. So then how do you know? Okay, so then I guess that, what the hell was that gore? Was it Ogrish? What was that? Or was that celebrity gore.com? I forget what it was. It was one of those early sites where you can go to and see like weird shit. And they supposedly had a Hitler dead in his bunker. But obviously that's not the case. Because that means that who took pictures? Obviously, it was a fake picture. Let me see here. Immediate cremation attempt. The attempt? The valet, Heinz Linge, and SS Otto Gunsch, carried the bodies up from the bunker's emergency exit to the Reich Chancellery Garden. They placed them in a shallow bomb crater, a shell hole about 3 meters from the bunker door, doused them with roughly 200 liters of petrol that had been stockpiled for this purpose alone, and set them alight. Because of ongoing Soviet artillery fire, the group had to retreat quickly into the bunker entrance. The fire initially burned poorly in the open air. Partial burning for over several hours. I'm sorry, I'm going into this. I did not plan to do this. I've never actually gone into the official story on the corpses. Let's see here. Burning intermittently throughout the afternoon and evening as more petrol was poured when possible. Witnesses later described the corpses as heavily charred but still recognizable. How? Oh, wait, because the skull fragmented by the gunshot, lower jaw with distinctive dental work intact. By nightfall, the fire had gone out. He was burning. They put him at the bottom of a gasoline fire for over 12 hours, and he was still identifiable. The remains were little more than charred torsos, bones, and ash. Yeah, he definitely went to South America. This sounds like absolute bullshit. This is bullshit. This seals it for me. If there's ever any question, knowing this story has sealed it for me. Anyway, that's I don't even know what the hell the point of the CNN article was. However, the findings shared that so then how, okay, I guess just from the blood on the couch, you have the entire body in the backyard, the entire body, which was impervious to to fire, chemical fire. It was impervious. They burned him for like 3 days straight. They could easily. Oh no. The value of historical DNA. Well, somebody's going to attempt some kind of a reanimation one day, some kind of a Frankenstein thing. Maybe they can completely clone Hitler by, the pea spackle on the walls in the Führer bunker's bathroom. We reconstructed DNA from what was pea spackles in the Führer's bunker. And we think it's Adolf Hitler's. Can you imagine going through all this stuff? You say, okay, 4 years on this DNA, and you get to see who the hell's it is, and it's not even his. Resurrect something. Anyway, there's that. And one last thing here. Well, actually, it's not one last thing. That's all we got. I'll do all this other stuff after our guest is off the air with us. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to have you. I'm really happy to make your acquaintance on this Tuesday night. And I got a little something over here. This is from our guest right now. And like I said, his name is Brett Townsend of the band Brother Townsend. I was listening to this before we went on the air tonight, actually earlier on today. And there's just so much about this that I like. But we're going to be talking about a little bit more than his music. Listen to this. He describes his music as being Americana infused. What? What are you doing here? What is this?
Open it and I will show.
What is this?
No.
It's a pumpkin? There you go.
Yummy.
All right, well, but
Made of peanut butter.
peanut butter. Okay, well, don't eat it just yet. Don't eat it just yet. Tell everybody hello.
Hello.
And did you have a good day?
Yes.
How was your morning classes? Good. And now you're gonna go and enjoy yourself a chocolate peanut butter pumpkin. Okay. Well, say goodnight to everybody.
Good night.
Okay. Well, it's good to see you, cutie. Are you happy that I'm home? Yes. This is because of you, anyway. All right. Have a good.
Not like what that goes.
I know you want me to be home all the time. Maybe one day. Every night? Okay, one day you and me, we're gonna go into business together. All right, love you. There she goes. Anyway, that's my morning dove over there. Then this song over here by Brother Townsend is called Morning Dove. And I love it because it does sound like something that would be at, you know what, let me bring him in right here. He also just wrote a wonderful piece for the Quite Frankly blog. It's a short story, and I love it. I think it's the first piece of fiction that we have up there. And joining us right now is Brett Townsend. Brett, you're on your side, my friend. Can you flip yourself?
Am I on my side?
You're on your side. Oh, that's well, now you're vertical, but you know what? We can work with it. It's there you go.
Just wanted to do its own thing.
Let me tell you something. I'm just listening to your music. Trying to get you on screen right now. Where the hell's the side by side? There we go. Just listening to your music. And I know that that's not the focal point of the work that you just did with us with this wonderful short story that's on the blog. But when it comes to Americana infused sound, I love the description there because that sounded like festival music. Like I expect a song like that to be emanating from every stage at a local or a county festival across this country. Almost, dare I say, hallmarky sounding. And yeah. I don't know. It makes me get in the mood to just, go to a festival.
Yeah, well, that is, I guess, the point. We played at a bunch of them out here. For a long time I called it like working class music. I'm a contractor by day, and it's just a style of music that kind of comes naturally to me. It's sort of a progression out of sort of country and folk and into sometimes harder edge stuff with some blues elements that end up coming in different songs. And it's such a broad genre, really, Americana. So there's lots of options there for you can have a pretty rocky set and go go full tilt and make people's ears bleed, and then pull them back in with some acoustic stuff.
Oh, I get you. I get you. Because there's a lot more unforgiving genres out there, especially the more progressive and technical you get. This one you can kind of just lay it all out there and just groove it a little bit more, and that's that in itself is a lot more. I don't know, a lot more stress relieving for the musician. And you grew up. Are you like a lifer in Washington State?
Oh no. Born in Louisiana. Spent a whole lot of my life in the Midwest. Eventually joined the military and was Army, and was stationed a few different places, a couple on the East Coast, in Maryland, and then lived for a while in Connecticut, and then jockeyed around the country a bunch more, Montana, and ended up here in Washington. So
what part of Connecticut? That's the closest to me.
Milford, West Haven. Yeah.
Milford?
Yep.
Okay.
Milford.
By Sikorsky?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that area there.
Okay, yeah. So did you ever eat at the hometown buffet back in the day?
Gosh, man. I really can't say that I did. I very well might have. Those were years that were unbridled as far as vices go. So I was kind of wandering around, just after getting out of the military, making music and having lots of adventures with newfound folks there on the East Coast. It was a good time.
Yeah, it is. I actually spent a good amount of time in Milford at the buffets there. Really? There was a laser tag place up there we used to go to all the time, and yeah, it was a little bit of a drive, but it was fun. It made for good memories. And so let me ask you, how did you first find Quite Frankly? Because that's, you responded to all of our calls out there. We've brought in so many great people to contribute to the bulletins, fan features, people who have written articles. You're the first one to write a piece of fiction, I believe. But, tell us a little bit more about how you found the show.
Yeah, I have to, it was through another podcast, and I've kind of searched my memory for that. I don't have a precise answer, but I gotta think it was maybe Our Big Dumb Mouth I was listening to, or somebody mentioned you there, and I like, oh, what's this guy about? And then it was a couple years ago, and unfortunately, I'll say I've been a lurker. As being on the West Coast, I'm often like still working at 4 or whatever when you go live, and people are coming to me for answers, and I'm using both my hands, so I'm kind of like, I've got the cans on, I'll try to listen live, but I can't really engage with the broadcast much. So,
hey, listen,
anyway.
I love my lurkers, by the way. I just had to put it out there. Hey, listen, we just have we just learned something new about how the landscape has changed. So, consider at least dropping a like. So there's no judgment there. I like slinking back into the scenery too.
Yeah. So and then you said, I mean, I had been doing the writing thing. I mean, that's what I did in the military. I was a public affairs dude. And then got out and eventually got some kind of worthless degrees, but they did make me, write a bunch, and continue in this sort of craft of modifying the world around me to suit my needs, like looking at it through whatever lens I could construct, and you said something, you're like, yeah, we need writers. And I don't know if you recall, but I just said something like, I'm your Huckleberry or whatever. Like that was my email. And like, let's see if he picks up on that. And here. And
here it is. What you wrote is called My Favorite Chair. And it's very deep. It's not long, it's a short, and it has all your information at the bottom there. It's on Quite Frankly's articles tab right there. The blog, it's right above the whole newsletter archives. But tell us a little bit about the inspiration for My Favorite Chair and what people should expect out of this story.
I've got 2 young boys. I mean, they are short. I call them bathroom reads. I think they're great. The material I put out is like 5-10 minutes max. And they're hopefully thought provoking and come from a real place in my head and my heart. And the kind of perspective I tend to put out is just, again, sort of like Americana music. It's like real stuff, man. It's like real life stuff. And so that story has a lot to do with, this feeling of the passage of time. I was That's what I was trying to evoke. There. I was adopted by my dad, and he was a construction worker too. And in for the working class, that often means priority is making some dough. It's not throwing the ball with your sons or whatever, or doing the things that you look back and you wish you could do. And so I also homeschooled growing up, and I went to work with my dad a lot. And now, um, the story kind of talks about the passage of time from the perspective of a father, and different little things that have occurred in my life, and that's it. I won't say too much more, but uh, we I often feel like I'm kind of struggling through parenting. Like I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I did kind of like reach out. I wanted to have children. My wife and I, we were very intentional about like let's make a family, but they don't come with a manual. So
Nothing
it's
does.
just like
Nothing does.
winging it.
Yeah. No, I when I reading toward the end there too, and I'm sure that this is going to get to people, especially since we talk about the passing of the torch and generations moving on through all the time, where you come up and things really do, the scales fall away from your eyes in really crazy ways, especially when it comes to the changing dynamic between you and your parents.
Yes.
How you come up as the kid, and then they kind of end up being the kid that needs to be taken care of.
I mean, that's right where I'm at, man. Like I've got my adoptive dad living on our property in an RV, and it's kind of to the point where we're like, oh, do we have to take his driver's license? I mean, it's you have to kind of monitor, are they being safe for themselves and others at that age, and you do. And there are other, much crazier stories I could tell you about feeling very much like I'm the dad. Like, hey, dad, you been drinking? Like, are you good to drive, man? And you're 75 or whatever, and like you feel like they're your charge now, and it's this whole crazy, snake chasing its tail. The way kind of time turns in on itself, and we become this is our future. One day we're looking over the steering wheel, we're under, and our kids are like, should he be driving, like, and it's
they're wondering the same thing about us.
Yeah.
And it's these things that you can't avoid, but the way that people will write about it, it can sometimes put some things into perspective for a lot of people who need it. Because we always say, I wish I could know when we're in the good old days while we're there, so you can really take advantage of it. And sometimes that's just a hard fact of life, is that the only way to really get perspective is to move through a time. And if you can just leave a little bit of a nugget behind so somebody can know what they're looking for and to soak up what they have. We get lost in everything right now. We get lost in so much. Like we were talking about connections, you and I, for a couple minutes when we were just doing our sound check. And maybe that's how we can end on this note. You talk about perspective. Over the last couple of years, and I'm sure you've heard it, we have done quite a few bits, quite a few segments on Gen Z in particular, who are more than anybody else dipping into like old prom footage and last day of school footage from the 80s, the 90s, all that stuff. I would say maybe pre-smartphone, where, right now everybody is, to say that we're disconnected, you think on the surface, say, oh no, we've never been more connected. You with a click of the button, you can send your face in real time, flawlessly to Southeast Asia from New York, and you can talk to somebody, and managing a long distance relationship is nothing anymore because we can just chat and whatever the hell else. But I think a lot more people are starting to realize that disconnect has nothing to do with the ability to text or call somebody, and that there's something missing just from society itself, and a lot of people are trying to claw back for it, and some people are looking for perspective that they were never able to have. You and I, people in our generation, we have one foot in a world that doesn't exist anymore, and one foot in the world that some people only know, and it's crazy on that end.
It is, and I struggle with this for quite a long time. I've wanted to do some writing on it, and I don't know exactly how to approach it. But I do feel like it's almost like there's not really any place for half measures in the what I'm going to call the electronic world. Like, we can't, you and I, just like, oh well, let's just use a pager. Isn't that enough? No, like especially for me as a contractor, like I've got to be able to take a picture and shoot it to some guy so he knows what I'm talking about. If that you either stay apace with the electronic world and current, or you decide to go the other way. And in terms of like communication and connection, I think certainly Gen Z, a lot of the up and coming you know generations are seeing the kind of empty. They kind of on the one hand see the utility and the value, and and even the seduction of the electronic world, and then they see it for, I think, for what it is. And I'm starting to really see it for what it is. It's kind of grown and to become sort of like this limb that we have to carry around with us, like to do all the things that we have to do, and reams of new passwords. I had to explain to my son last night, like, yeah, when you sign up for that site, you have to that's another password you have to save, and then another one, and then another one, and eventually you have to have a little password saver on your phone or whatever, so you can, like, did we know that this was going to be our lives? Like when we first, fired up the Nintendo back in the day, like eventually you're going to have 500 passwords and logins. Like that sucks, like, and I think that this generation and I myself, I'm kind of seeing the emptiness in this and all this. Like the utility is fine, but for it to be like integrated into our lives, the techno futurist outlook, like, no, dude, like real life is like jumping in the water, climbing a tree, shooting a slingshot, I don't know, doing something real, slapping somebody on the back actually, I
Well,
don't know.
and you know what, and that's the reason why I think that the contrast between these conversations and these thoughts, and of course the music that someone like you writes, and the way you described it, like when I think of Americana, you think about baseball, apple pie, the country fair, people just going out there to see who's who the prize pig is going to be this year or something like that. That's what I'm talking. So what would you say? And of course, everybody in the chat rooms, talk amongst yourselves on this one here too. What would you say is most missing from local life? Because I stop into a lot of rural places especially over the last few years. The places I like to retreat to for an extended weekend or anything are not big cities. They are smaller places, and some are more social than others. But other places are still they feel a little bit dull, a little desolate sometimes when you just observe average people walking around a supermarket or something. There's no pep in it. Everybody's walking around in pajamas, and they seem a little downtrodden. What do you think?
For sure.
What do you think's missing?
I think we're weary. Everything has been commodified. I used to take $10 and go to Aladdin's Castle, the arcade at our mall in Springfield, Missouri, and I'd be there all afternoon with $10 of quarters. And now, if I take my kids to an arcade, it's like I have to spend $50 and they put it on a debit card and it's gone in 10 minutes, and everything is for a ticket. It's just so you can get a whole pile of these tickets to go buy some cheap Chinese shit. Like the reality is you don't even get to enjoy the game anymore. It's all been like turned into this like money-making machine. And that is one thing that's missing, is just like, did my picture turn here? I don't
No,
know.
it's all right. You're good.
I don't know. I was losing my train of thought. Somebody tried to call me, but yeah, it's that's one thing that's missing. And then No Agenda will talk about John on No Agenda will talk about how sock hops, skating rinks, just some place for people to hang out,
Skating
and
rinks,
be together. Bowling alleys. Town I'm in here used to have a bowling alley and a skating rink. What do they got now? A Unitarian church in the one building, and a food co-op in the other building. It's like there's nowhere for people to come together. So I think those two things, like just kind of knowing that everybody's trying to like suck the value out of out of your pocket in every little thing. You go to the ballpark and you got to spend. I bought 2 burgers and 2 drinks, and it was $85 in Seattle. It's like Come on, man.
You know, the other thing there too is we've talked about shopping mall memories quite a bit. Things like that, like old hangout spots. And it's not, you can't even say, well, stop holding on to the past, because when we talk about something like an arcade, yeah, perhaps it's just everybody has their own gaming consoles, they're playing on PC or whatever the hell else. Okay, when you talk about obsolete technology like an arcade game, but is it really obsolete to go out, have a good time, and be able to play something outside of the house, or just walk around, sit around by the fountains down at the food court in the mall? What we're really talking about there is essentially what we were talking about a peak, where we have fallen from a peak, because going out and having a human interaction with somebody and hanging out is not old school. It's not that's just being human. So when you talk about the 80s and 90s being a peak, because you had all these things going on where you can go catch a movie, you can go to an arcade, everybody did start having personal computers and their own video game consoles at home. But there was it didn't take away at all, diminish the value of getting out of the house and meeting up with everybody at the Cinnabon in the Galleria. You know, so that's what I don't think a lot of people fail to articulate sometimes, and they end up sounding like the old man shaking his fist at the clouds. You know, just like he can't let go of the past. I don't believe that this is a past that anybody should let go of. That was a peak for a reason. And nobody's saying that we gotta keep the hairstyles and the clothing the same, but the whole idea was we were enjoying the best of what technology provided us at the time, creature comforts, entertainment, but we were also still plugged into what was really human, and that's the key here. And we have to be able to get back to it, because that's the thing that rings true the most as human beings.
I mean, it's the only value there is, really. Like I kind of think that's like the sort of the nectar of being a human is human interaction. And I think we've been sold a lie where like and our endocrine systems have been commodified so that like, you know, they're just getting us to like react to that like dopamine drip. Every one of these social media platforms, all the games that come out nowadays are just designed to keep you plugged in and wanting more. Like they'll give you the game for free. Shit, you know, you just got to buy the new skin, you got to buy the upgraded weapon, you got to do the thing just to compete and to feel cool and to have your friend. I mean, yes, it's not real. I think the connections just aren't real in those digital spaces. As much as like we're doing it right now, it does feel like odd that on the one hand the thing can be great, but then, you know, we could talk like this for a couple hours probably, but we wouldn't do it every day for a couple hours. I mean, that's like this is it's sort of different. There's not like a predator relationship going on here, where in sort of like in the gaming world and then also in like just the social media apps and things, it does feel predatory. It feels, and we didn't know when we were when I was signing up for MySpace back in the day, like this was going to like become like something I did several hours a day. If they'd have said that, I'd be like, well, I don't have time for that, you know? And
well, at that point, social media actually became a video game in itself. You know, I mean, there are people who just, they're out there, they're consuming information, they meet people on the internet along the way. Maybe you become a little bit, you know, to whatever degree you can become an acquaintance of somebody. But for the most part, even the most average person really obsesses over getting a follower or that becomes an object of the game. And whereas when and maybe you did show up to the mall back in the day and said, I'm going to make 4 friends today. It's you never really put a goal on that. You just were happy to be there. It's a different kind it's a different kind of motivation for sure.
And I told you I was homeschooled, and I lived in Missouri when I was a kid. And so I had like a homeschool group of friends. We had basketball teams, baseball, and where I was at in Missouri, it was really common to homeschool. So But where we lived out in the country, you know, I was pretty isolated during the week, like unless I was going to basketball practice or some little homeschool meetup. And one day I remember just deciding, I told my mom, like, I'm walking down this road and I'm knocking on every door. And it was a country road. I mean, there was like a house every quarter mile or half mile or whatever. Went up and down that road and I made about 10 friends. Just like there were kids that lived on that road. And I met one old lady that would make me cookies, you know, like, hey, do you have any kids I can play with? Like just straight going to every door. And nowadays, like that's a different, in some ways there was an innocence. Yeah, people got hurt. But the world's changed. And like you said, that was kind of a peak time, you know, the 90s and early 2000s, I mean, 80s, 90s, 2000s, where it felt like we had a lot of technology that could do good things for us, but it hadn't like replaced our minds in a way and done it. You know, the AI thing too. It's like I have a friend who has resisted. He's got a smartphone and all, and he's resisted the urge to set up all, you know, any kind of social media accounts. And just recently, something tipped him off. Like, hey man, maybe I can make a living doing these like Sora videos, like making videos of some kind of thing, you know. And I was like, man, you know, I want to encourage him on the one hand, and I did encourage him, but also it's like I don't really know if you really want to get started in this whole game, man. Like it'll take your life over if you're not careful. Like you won't be the cool groovy artist dude that's always painting and doing fun stuff. You'll be checking your phone all day long, you know. And it's like giving a 90-year-old a cigarette or something like.
So he's a graphic artist that is you know, because of the way that that people pass this stuff around versus a little bit more of a traditional discipline where you're either, you know, canvas or something like that. Was wondering whether or not getting into, you know, prompting AI would be a good way of creating a following and all that other stuff.
Well, yeah, he hasn't even tried to develop a following through, you know, he just makes art and they'll like leave it in front of a bank or do, you know, funky, crazy stuff. You know, he's not even, it's just what he does. He enjoys being an artist, but he sees that there's a market out there like, oh, yeah, maybe I could plug into this whole online world and open up accounts and all this stuff and use these AI videos to make a, you know, some income. And
I don't know what kind of I don't know what kind of market there is. Again, there's a market where attention. There's a market for attention, but as far as I don't know, it's a tough thing for an artist to be in because you know there's the traditional starving artist. I mean, that's just always been the case. You know, you're doing something for a passion like that, and so I understand you're already willing to do anything. So it is there's a lot of there's a seduction to it.
If it's funny. Like I wonder the AI thing. It does feel also like extra fake. It's like extra fake icing on the cake of the digital world, right? Like the AI videos. Like, and I don't know, man. I kind of wonder if like you know the Rogan thing where he's always talking about like it'll make us better. Life will be better if we can't lie. And you know, there's no more. You know, everything's out in the open. It seems like he might be tilting toward the, you know, some kind of positive outlook on the techno futurist, you know, forecast. I don't know. I think I like being a human.
Yes,
you know?
And
into it.
That is what your work really reflects, especially in this short story, and I really just wanted to leave on this note here too, because you know we're talking about where we're lacking and where reality really sinks its talons, and that is the day to day. It's not a grind. It's just the cycles of life and the people that are around us and our responsibilities and how they change over time, and then the people who we were once responsible for become responsible for us, and on it goes. And that is going to be all, ladies and gentlemen, on quitefrankly.tv. It's there right now under the articles tab. There's the blog, and you're going to see the first one there, My Favorite Chair by Brett Townsend. Brett, is there anything that you want to leave us with today, or any parting shots or anything?
You know, if you can find somebody to hug, do it. That's what I always say at the end of our shows when I'm playing out. Love yourselves, forgive yourselves if you can, you know. move on, grow. I've struggled a lot with anxiety. That's something I'll say. And for sure, like hearing you talk about working out and when I find the time to work out, exercise, do some wrestling, all the different stuff, it's like the number one cure. So if you're out there and you're struggling with anxiety or depression or anything, get some sweat on. That it's the first step. Do that, try that. And if it doesn't work, then do whatever else you got to do.
Yeah.
But that's my parting,
Active.
hope for everybody.
Go out there, work out,
Do something.
clean
Something
something. Yeah, put something in order. That's always say, put something in order, and it helps defragment the mind a little bit. But you know what, Brett, you've been really great to talk to, and I understand that you're 3 hours behind on the West Coast, like a lot of people that watch this show, and it might be hard to pick up the phone and call in from time to time. But I really hope we're able to do this again because you got a lot of great things to contribute. Well,
I really enjoyed talking to you, Frank. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yes, it has. And I hope that not only people go and read this article, this short story, but I hope that they click through to your band and enjoy that because I really did. And it was a good listen. And I hope that we get to jam together one day.
Yeah, that'd be rad. That'd be great.
All right, man. Have a great one and all the best to you.
All right. All the best to you. Thank you.
Care.
Have a good evening.
Everybody, there goes Brett Townsend. I'm liking it. Yeah. It's just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen. Now, while we prepare for this quarterly newsletter that's going to be starting in 2026, there are fantastic evergreen features like Brett's story right there on the articles section on quitefrankly.tv, along with all the complete newsletter archives. And I think some of our greatest editions were the holiday editions. So those are like, we have interviews with my parents, recipes, fan features, and other cultural hits. So indulge. It's all there for you. All there for you. It's like 2 clicks away. And that's that. All right. Let's take, you know what? We can take some calls. I want to hear from people and see what the hell you've been thinking and doing and all that stuff. So 914-200-0269. We're going to have Matt from Cultivate Elevate joining us in a little bit. And why the hell not just check in with you guys? Oh, and also, let's see who wins the jean jacket and what else we got. It's the jean jacket. It's my band's 2017 album. It's the Flip City magazine. It's Molly Arty's portrait, and it's one of Marge's T-shirts, the rainbow T-shirt. The straight people like rainbows too. Out of the 80 names I have here, the winner is Molly Arty. You got to be kidding me. Molly wins her own art. She's probably going to pay that one forward. But I saw her go crazy in the pilled chat room that she really wanted that. All right, well, I have to imagine Molly doesn't want her own art. So I'm going to roll that into something else. Molly, you get in touch with me ASAP. I know I saw you, like so many other people, going nuts over that jean jacket. And you let me know what I'm paying forward and what. And starting tonight, I'm giving away a round of silver. Tony Arterburn just said that I can give away another round of silver, an ounce of silver. So send in a super chat through YouTube or Rumble, Pilled. I'm going to be announcing that tomorrow at the end of tomorrow. So a round of silver, and I'll sweeten the deal. I'll throw a dick laser in there too. So a dick laser and a round of silver. How's that for Americana? Okay. 914-200-0269. And we have this that we can throw up for some consideration. Where the hell are we at? There we go. House passes bill to release the Epstein files. Comer torches Hakeem Jeffries for seeking post-prison meeting. The House has passed legislation to compel the Trump DOJ to release records related to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein after the bill gained enough bipartisan support to require a House vote. And of course, after President Trump reversed course and decided to support it. We also learned that thanks to the Epstein files, releases by House Republicans, that Epstein was close with Larry Summers and Delegate Stacey Plaskett. Close is an understatement. But they cleared this bill 427-1, after which, assuming it passes, it will go to President Trump's desk to sign into law, after which the files could be then released. So, what do you think about that? 427 to 1, with 5 saying, no, thank you, I'm not going to vote today. There's that. There's a little bit of that. I also have a few other things that we're going to be doing here, too. Jay Britt says, enjoying Studio B vibe tonight. Well, thank you. I have been enjoying it, too. I got shout out to my buddy Danelle, who came here and helped me really work with the cameras and the lighting, work to change some things around, get a little bit of a nice zoom in there. And there's a couple of things that we're going to be doing right there. Got to address this a little bit more, especially when the curtain is pulled away on a night like tonight. It's not the summertime. If it was the summertime, first of all, I wouldn't be able to be in here. It's way too hot. Now it's nice and cool. I'm getting a nice breeze from this cracked window down here. Ah, there it is. But I'm glad you like it. Larry Whitaker says, Oklahoma, strange dream, living in society, 1984 with Harrison Ford as an authoritarian leader. Super realistic, woke up distraught. Strange living in a society like 1984 with Harrison Ford as an authoritarian leader. Woke up very distraught from that. You got to bring me your strange dreams. We also have strange recurring and reoccurring dreams thread that's always live on the Quite Frankly forum. It's always live there. It's one of those things that's always open. I had a messed up dream the other night. I really messed up. It was just strange, man. Really strange. You know, I saw this this article coming out of, I think it's like LifeSite or something like that. It came out of Canada. How people, because of skyrocketing healthcare costs in Canada, people are once again exploring the euthanasia options. Everybody tells you how amazing it is up in Canada and Europe and all that other stuff. People who are having a hard time getting care are looking into just having a doctor kill them. It's like, wait, you got yourself in front of a doctor finally, and you just want them to do you in? Anyway, there's just a culture. You want to talk about Americana. There's something very life affirming about Americana. I don't know if this would be considered Americana, but for us in the 1990s, in the early 1990s, when we had those wonderful Mighty Ducks films, D2 Mighty Ducks was how I always thought it was going to be when we grew up. That it was always just going to be USA, USA, and us competing against the world, and that Iceland was going to be big, robust, gigantic Aryans. And you know, everybody is just their own thing. The Italians are bad at hockey. The Trinidad, why the hell was Trinidad even part of the hockey competition? That was ridiculous. I think that Team USA destroyed them. Just like their bobsled team in Jamaica. Not necessary. Although we all watched Cool Runnings, and it was good. I like Cool Runnings. Just been a while since I saw it. But what the hell am I talking about? Oh, that's right. D2 Mighty Ducks. That's what it felt. I always felt like it was going to be like that. We were going to have this, it's just fun. We're playing street hockey outside. Nobody's getting mugged. Everybody's on the same team, even though some people look different than others. It didn't matter. And now everything just kind of feels like death. You know what I mean? There's a touch of death in everything. In the way that it's almost like a dead end. Like the roots have been fried. And that everything is very disposable instead of lasting. Everything from washing machines to, I don't know, music. Especially now that AI is making it. That is literally a disposable wipe. And that's just, and of course the healthcare. And everybody's talked about identity. It's always about death. And it's always about it's always about saying goodbye to the child you were. And, you know, growing up is hard enough in itself. It's another thing to just leave behind the world, to leave behind planet Earth and say, I'm not this anymore. I'm something totally different. And it doesn't go anywhere good. That's what I think. So I read this stuff and I'm just, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I had this horrible dream the other night. This wasn't on last Friday night. You can tell. You can tell Saturday morning when I was at the airport. I'm actually going to release that to release some of that footage soon. I was up until like 4 o'clock in the morning. Couldn't go to sleep. And then maybe Sunday night into yesterday, it was like I was in a nursing home. I wasn't the one in there, but it was just, oh man, it was just weird. First of all, I was in a basement morgue. And some guy was extracting all types of shit from a corpse. Like, yeah, this is what you have to do. Like, what the fuck am I looking at here? Then I went to a funeral home with some old guy who was scheduled to be euthanized in a week or something. So he's like, so weird. Everybody's, you know, it's like, why the hell even go to sleep? So I just wonder these kind of like, and I wasn't talking about that on the show. I wasn't, you know, this is not stuff that's going on in my personal life. Thank God. I'm not watching any gory films. I'm not my cousin Dave. So I don't know what the hell's going on there. That's why I wanted to ask. Is anybody else being just screwed up by this? I say my prayers before bed. I'm always in a semi-stated prayer. Either semi-stated prayer or just semi-stated pleading for help. You know, so there's that. And then I look at the insanity around us and say, oh, that's there. There you go. I have some reels to do with you in this first half before, as we wait for Matt from Cultivate Elevate to come by. And here's a little bit, maybe a source of my frustration where it can come from. Now, I don't know if you guys saw any of the clips that are being passed around of Bill Maher with so-called comedian Patton Oswalt on Bill Maher's podcast. And my God, Patton Oswalt is just a pathetic person. And there's so many people like it. It's so upsetting because, again, these are the jiggly little obstacles that we need to really wonder about our future with them as neighbors. And here, take a listen to this. Bill Maher, here is the caption from Overton News. Bill Maher schooling left-wing comedian Patton Oswalt, and you could feel the temperature in the room drop.
Is not as mature as it thinks it is. We elected Obama, and clearly the country freaked out. And we're still living in that freak out. We are not as progressed and evolved and intelligent as we think we are because we keep freaking out about this stuff.
Well,
you know?
The left freak out too. The left freaked out about a lot of bullshit too.
What did they freak out about?
What did they freak out about? Here's where it starts, as he starts throwing his scotch back. Now, first of all, just think about that right there. We're not ready. Everybody just keeps freaking out. Ready for what exactly? Like this is, you can already tell that he's mindless. You can say he's being obtuse, and he probably is really forcing it out there. But I really think that they're that stupid. Anyway, Bill Maher brings it home. He really does.
Gender, race, parenthood, schools, homelessness, crime, the border, education. Like we stopped being a scientific people. Like it's not scientific.
But the left certainly stayed scientific.
No, they didn't.
Why not?
Because they think gender bullshit that they went way too far with. That's not scientific.
But how did I'm not trying to. How did they go too far with like gender stuff? And I'm not
instead of if I was teaching children, what I would teach them is there is a default setting for the human being, which is heterosexuality, but that doesn't mean every person is that, and we should completely respect everyone who isn't that. But we understand that that's called a minority, and what makes us a great country is that we respect minorities. We don't think they're lesser just because they're lesser in numbers. That's not what we started to teach, which was that every baby is, I don't know, let's not even put it on the birth certificate. That's what they wanted.
Were we teaching that?
Yes.
Oh, God. Oh, God. So they're talking about how social deconstructionist absurdities that are now defining the average leftist wherever they, whether they like it or not, it's defining it. That's what they have to do. This is what they have to do. They have to be Patton Oswalt. He's such an obtuse buffoon. When were we teaching that? Were we teaching that though? It's just like go. Well, this is what they do. They invite you to go ahead and jump through hoops. Jump through hoops for me. Talk for hours. Tell me shit I already know 100% is happening, but feel that the only way to come out on top of this discussion is to hope and pray that the person that they are playing obtuse with, the person that they're gaslighting, stumbles on their words or something, or provides another opportunity to pivot the conversation somewhere else. This is why I say we're going to have to make some really hard decisions at some point along the way. You can't have stumpy little trolls like Patton Oswalt obstructing society anymore with their bullshit. It's just bullshit. Like this is not a serious person.
When were we teaching that?
Teaching it. It was a law here in California. See,
to teach what?
Don't put sex on the birth certificate. We'll see. Now we've passed that period now. I'm sorry, I don't remember that. I mean,
of course, because you were making fun of people on. You were making fun of people who voted for Trump, calling it very strange stuff too. If I remember correctly, Patton Oswalt likes using hammer toe as an insult. Like he likes describing conservatives as like knuckle dragging, hammer toed people, which I don't understand what that means. I understand what hammer toe is, but what does that mean? What, so he probably has some kind of a foot fetish, and he doesn't like when people have hammer toe. He probably just likes it must be some kind of a weird fetish thing, and that he projects things that ruin his good time onto people that he doesn't like. He's just not a very, very smart person. Anyway, there's a little bit more of this. Here they are talking about migration. And, this is a reason why I'm following this up with our talk with Brett Townsend is because this is a really big part of the macro. The micro side of life is how's everything in the home? How's everything with the family? How's the job? How's the town? And then here is an example of just what is just askew, off kilter with the macro. And it really does propose it shows us there's an issue here. Take a listen to this.
In England right now is a lot of that. I mean, like
what's going on in England?
What's going on in England?
Again, not in the bubble.
Okay, well,
doesn't get in the bubble.
Don't wait a minute. Just tell
me. It really
me.
doesn't. It's a big. I don't even want to start with it, but
okay.
It's like just a lot of violence, protests, immigration, cities that Andrew Sullivan, for example, says are places that my grandfather would not even recognize anymore as British. Like, immigration is great.
Yeah.
Anything can be too much. And, it has become Islamicized, to put it briefly.
Anything can be too much, but a lot of times the way that things are framed and represented is also amplified so that they can make their point.
But, like, do you know about the what do they call it when they get kids to, like, grooming, the grooming scandal?
No.
See, that's a big story.
This is in the UK.
Yes, that went on from like the 80s to the present, and it wasn't
You're talking about the royal family.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about Pakistani men who are immigrants, who were grooming poor impoverished white girls mostly in these things and making them into prostitutes and sex slaves and like really nasty shit that would pass for more normal in a traditional Pakistani society where women are not considered equal citizens. And if you don't understand that, and that gender apartheid is the number one issue that you woke people should be concerned with but seem not to be,
that's the face. That's the face right there. Okay, go ahead. He's got the Willy Wonka meme smirk on his face. It's story time for Patton Oswalt. Go ahead. You're just a little overreacting. I'm fine. I live comfortably. I am now well past my middle age, and the world is just going to have to carry on without me soon. But I'm comfortable, and very sorry to hear about those poor white British girls.
Right away, we're not really seeing the world as the same way. And I think I'm seeing it much more clearly.
Yeah, but
gender apartheid should be your number one issue. If you really care about oppression, like a lot, I'm talking about hundreds of millions of the world's women. And it's mostly because of the tenets of Islam, to be perfectly honest about it. And this is what's going on in England. And this is why England is having a big problem these days. Because in the interest of DEI, they are allowing practices that are so illiberal, which is the great irony. This is the least liberal thing you could be, is treating women as a second-class citizen. And
if I were Bill Maher, I'd say, okay, Patton, get the fuck out. Get out. Get out. If I have to look at your smirking toad face one more time, just get the fuck out. Go. Take the whiskey with you. Keep numbing yourself. Obviously, you're a very numb person, so just get the hell out. We're talking worst of the brain dead enabler category when it comes to liberalism. You know, like cancer, it has many variations, and Patton Oswalt is an obtuse, disinterested ghoul. Will not go there. Things will never be what they are. Anyway, there's that. You got anything else you want to add to it? You can call in 914-200-0269. I'm ready to take some call. But then again, you only have a couple minutes before Matt shows up. Cultivate Elevate. So there's that. What the hell is this now? Someone just sent me this. I don't think I'm, what is this? A pumpkin cinnamon roll? What does this mean? What the hell does this mean?
Imagine a cozy morning with a hot cup of coffee in hand and a tray of hot.
Why is she putting her entire fist into the cinnamon roll? Who the hell sent this to me? Why is she sticking her talons into this poor cinnamon roll and getting cream cheese dressing icing all over herself? What is she doing?
Pillowy soft pumpkin cinnamon rolls straight from the oven. I don't know about you, but that's...
Is this because it's like has an ASMR end to it? Because it has very ASMR feelings right now. I think I'm just upset. I shouldn't be watching this in this state.
Sounds just about perfect to me. These are my homemade pumpkin cinnamon rolls, and they are just as dreamy as they look. They're soft and fluffy, sticky and gooey with...
Shut the fuck up. Sticky and gooey. Yeah? Then eat it. You know what? Fine. They look great. But I don't want you to enjoy it for some reason. I don't want you to enjoy this thing. In fact, if I ate this right now, sure, I'll take it. I'll take one of these cinnamon rolls. I'll take one right now with your cup of coffee, and I'll eat it with a mean face on. I'm going to have a completely feels so pillowy and who the hell, how did this get to me again? I did not watch this in the right order. I should not have been this upset when I watched this. Let me take a call. 912, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, sorry, let me mute you. I wasn't expecting to pick up. I'm laughing at your cinnamon roll.
Oh, thank you. Okay, how are you?
I'm doing good. I just want to just say that Patton Oswalt is just a absolute piece of shit. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Mouthy Buddha.
The Mouthy
he does
Mouthy Buddha? No.
Yeah. Okay. He's got a lot of stuff out there, basically around Pizzagate and whatnot, and I'm pretty sure he covers Patton Oswalt on one of those. So I just recommend you kind of look in it. You're not going to find it on YouTube, but you can find his stuff out there. And
I wouldn't be
pretty bad.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody did a deep dive into this guy, because it's almost like he has the same kind of demeanor as a lot of the people who have gone out there and written lengthy articles debunking one gate or another, and then of course are found with compromising materials months later and thrown into jail. It's the same kind of thing where they have almost like the smug, self-assured, disinterested, dismissive kind of demeanor with everything, especially things that actually are matters of great importance. They love talking about existential threats to one thing or another. And good Lord, when you see what the hell's going on in Europe, and for that matter, what's going on now in some parts of the United States. I mean, Nick Shirley, because he never stays in one place, he just received, I think, a Journalist of the Year award somewhere in DC or something, and then hopped on a flight to Paris. And he just uploaded a video of him walking around in Paris, and it's like a North African bazaar. It's like a scene out of one of those opening scenes in Indiana Jones when they're looking for some kind of an artifact in the Middle East. It's absolutely incredible. And for anybody to look at this and say, "Oh yes, oh no, I love it. It adds so much to the city." What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I mean, it strikes me. He strikes me as the kind of person that would be his kind of scene, basically. He can just have at it with any age of child that he wants. He's got the money to, any kind of security he needs or anything like that. He was all over Nickelodeon years and years ago. And this one, what you call it, I guess video, he does like 15, 20-minute clips. And he just if you look at how he was treating and he was, a grown man around all these like 7, 8, 10-year-olds, and just really sexually explicit gestures that he was doing that were kind of overlooked, when in that time frame. I think that was like the 90s or something. He's a sick bastard.
Oh well, I don't know how people are. Well, thank you for the call. There's a lot of
absolutely.
Yeah, I to be honest, over the years, I wouldn't be surprised. I probably have come across that video before. Been a lot of threads, a lot of videos, a lot of video analysis, but you don't even need all that stuff. You just really gotta assess a person when they go onto a podcast somewhere and don't seem very interested in things that are verifiable, and that don't pivot away from that to say, yeah, but the way that people report on them are so worse. How are you supposed to report on decades-long rape cover-ups? How are you supposed to unsensationally? How are you supposed to be not sensational in some respects over a I mean, explain that one right there. When you're talking about those grooming rings in Lancashire, where the hell was it again? I remember starting to cover those in like 2012, 13, 14. It was really starting to get crazy. I probably got them in my my archives over here. But, these are things that the police knew. They knew. That was back then, that they didn't want to get in trouble with these no-go zones. Now you're thinking about millions of people later. I love all the disconnected liberal girls out there in Europe too. who was it? I don't know. These chicks in Ireland and in Scotland that you know, whenever they find an American with a camera walking around, they always love, yeah, fuck the USA, fuck Donald Trump. Like, bitch, your entire island nation is one big migrant hotel. Do you really have no situational awareness? Do you really not feel the walls closing in? I mean, here in the United States, we can go and bury ourselves into a little mountain town somewhere and not be found still for another 45 years, perhaps. Maybe. That's if the world doesn't shift 90 degrees. But I mean, if you're in Scotland and Ireland right now, do you not feel the time is short? You know who I saw was on YouTube the other night that I hadn't seen him in so long? Rowan Croft. Gran Torino. I think he got his channel back too. He used to call into the show all the time. All of a sudden I saw him live because he's back and I was subscribed to him when he was gone. I went right into the chat and said, dude, he said, quite frankly, it's been so long. I said, well, I got to get him back on the show. He was calling in, talking about issues that had to do with Ireland, and he's a proud nationalist out there. I mean, it's only been 5 years later. Nothing really has gotten any better. So I'd love to talk to Rowan. Man, that was so long ago. It's just crazy how much time they took a half a decade away from. They put some relationships on pause for half a decade. You think you're impervious. You start realizing how our relationships, and again, going back to what we were talking about with Brett today, are they relationships if you disappear from one platform and never see somebody again? That the only way a person knows you or is willing to even keep in touch with you is whether or not you stay on one platform? Like I told you, that was the impetus for me going back on Twitch. A, we had just fixed all of our copyright music issues. But B, I was playing a video game on there weeks ago, and some guy popped on from the UK and said, hey, do you still do your nightly show? I haven't seen you do it here in a while. I said, yeah, I still do the nightly show. It's a nightly show. And then I realized there are just some people who they just stay on one app. And so it's, you know, when something like 2020 happens, 2021 happens, and you start seeing these purges and you start seeing these things get, you know, all of the big platform, teams, their management, all their administrators and their board of it, you know, and of course now we know that they are not separated from the government, especially what the Biden administration was doing with Twitter and everything else and Facebook and muscling people, not muscling too much. They're all birds of a feather. They know where the political winds are blowing right now, and they're just trying to be, they're trying to be a little bit more cooperative. But we know what the hell was going on there. It wasn't too much of a stretch. But still, that's how easy it is to really scatter people into the wind. And those are relationships that got to find a way to evolve a little bit more. Got to find a way to evolve them a little bit more. Just thinking about it. You got to check out Nick Shirley's Inside the Third World City of Paris. That's what it's called. Migrant Scammers and Crime. Anywho, let's get ourselves ready for Matt from Cultivate Elevate. He should be on any second. Yes, he's here. Fantastic. Let's bring him on, shall we? It's been so long. Oh, there he is. What's going on, Matt? How you doing? What is it? Is it nighttime over there?
It's nighttime for the first time ever, and I have a 300-watt bulb burning as we're speaking right now, so that we can have light, because I only have 20-watt bulbs. So this is the first time of ever putting a this bulb is from 1910, but it's 300 watts.
You know, I don't know why this is so unbelievable to me, because it's 8:14. It's 8:15 on the East Coast, and of course it's been dark now for quite a little bit, at least from the beginning of my show at 7. And I think about you being in Arizona, but you don't, you're only an hour behind now, right? Or two?
2 hours behind right now because we don't honor daylight savings time at all.
2 hours. So it's 6:14 over there and it's still dark. That's right. Yeah, that makes sense. We're in November now. I'm sorry, man. This is so crazy. I think this is the first time somebody's called in and it's actually looks like nighttime over there.
Yeah. Every other time we've done our podcast, it's always bright and sunny outside. So like I said, I had to set up this 300-watt bulb. So it's going right now from 1910. I've been collecting all these old bulbs, and this one's bright enough to light up the whole room, which is funny.
So, well, let me ask you something about. I mean, obviously, we can talk about what the hell's happening in the sky and what's been going on with you since the last time we spoke. But I had brought up with the audience tonight, and I put a poll in the chat room as well about whether or not people have been having strange dreams lately. And I don't know how much you pay attention to dreams, and whether you look into the content of the dream or just whether or not the dream is peaceful or chaotic, just based on what kind of maybe it's an environmental and atmospheric issue more than just a psychic issue. I don't know how you look at this. I don't know if we ever talked about dreams before. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, dreams are pretty much you're tapping into the ether, all the information that's all around us. I mean, that's where you're going into a dream state. So you're going out into the ether and you're basically just gathering with everybody else who's all around us. And that's why a lot of people get a lot of information from dreams. They get downloads from dreams. They take in all the information that's all around us, that's always been there, and they pretty much kind of go through things. And if your dreams are cranking up right now, it's because as the Schumann resonance has been going up. So the lightning is the Schumann resonance. So if there's more lightning, the Schumann resonance goes up. They measure it out of Siberia, where the Schumann resonance comes from. So as there's more lightning on the Earth, then the Schumann resonance gathers and increases. That lightning is also connected to the energy on the Earth. The more lightning, the more static energy, the more, if you get into the connection to the ether, the more your dream state begins to enhance. Now, if you think about why they put out all these towers all over the place, back in 2020 and 2021, when everybody was locked into their house, that is to try to disrupt what's happening with humanity. As humanity wakens and taps into the information that's all around us and sees through the nonsense, like the things you were just talking about with the tiny hats bringing in all the people into Europe and everything else. With people waking up to all these things, what happens is the dream state begins to enhance as well too. Because we're tapping back into the old world when we used to be connected into the physical plane, which is what we're in right now, and then the dream state at the same time, pretty much merging the two together.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I right now, just based on about almost 300 votes, we have 38% says my dreams are always very strange, and then 34% yes, my dreams have been super effed up lately. So something is going on. It's been like that for me. I always have strange dreams, or on the nights where I really feel great, it's the nights that I don't dream at all. But I just don't know, man. It has been chaotic, and it almost leaves you wondering what the hell do I got to do? The holy basil sometimes is not enough. What is your bedroom like as far as what you paint the walls with, your curtains? I'm sure you got all types of things that you take into consideration.
So I have an incandescent lamp. That's actually the lamp that I took out here. It's just a little tiny incandescent lamp. It's a 20-watt bulb, and I have that on at nighttime so that I can just relax and I can go to sleep really nicely. And then my bed is actually made out of wood. It's completely made out of wood. There's I think it's about 4 screws all together, and those are brass screws inside the bed. And then my entire mattress is made from wool and 100% organic cotton. And then my pillows are kapok, and then I got linen and cashmere on the sheets. So, and my bed and my blanket. So that's pretty much what it is. But it's all natural materials. I sleep on all natural materials. And when you speak about dreaming, I hardly dream at all. It only happens maybe once every so often. But I do know a lot of people are having a lot of crazy dreams. But my place is pretty much decked out so that you can relax, because I think that's the most important thing. And then I got a wool carpet. So when you get off the bed, you got a wool carpet that you just kind of step on. And all of these natural materials are part of what we're meant to be sleeping on. We've changed into these plastics and polymers and DuPont nonsense and everything else. And that can mess with our sleep too, or it can probably give you, I would say, a lot of not so good positive dreams. And then if you got coils in your bed, which we can get into that, if you got coils in their bed, that's gathering electricity, that gathers RF, that gathers frequencies. You know, those are working as antennas. So I would advise not putting any coils into your bed.
Even if the coils are copper?
Yeah, I mean, you're still gathering a charge, but it's directly underneath you. You know, so think of you're laying like this, and if you have those coils directly underneath you, you still will gather a little bit of a charge. But that's one of the reasons people have a lot of restlessness while they sleep. You know, the materials of their mattress or what their mattress is made out of, or there's coils in there, or the old water beds, which had electricity hooked up to them, you know, so you're like electrifying yourself while you sleep. But yeah, everything I use is completely 100% natural. And we actually, if you want to laugh, built the bed in 2020 during the pandemic, because remember, everything was so expensive and people were fighting over toilet paper and whatever it was.
Yeah.
So at that time, I was like, well, we're going to build our own. And so we built it all from scratch, and then got I don't even know, 300 pounds of cotton and just stuffed it. And now it's just pretty much all 100% organic.
Wow. Surprised you're not sleeping on a bale of hay.
Not over here. We got scorpions. So, you know, that would be you'd have a rude awakening in the middle of the night if that was the case.
Oh yeah. I think about those all the time. I really do. You know what I think about those? I think about every once in a while, and that's because of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like, what the hell was that scorpion?
That was in there, actually, and the ants.
I know. I never understood. I said, wait, where do they live in the country that there's this scorpion that is just hanging out in the backyard and kills Auntie? Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Texas, maybe. Maybe Texas.
Could be. The grass was too nice, though. Here's a little something for you, though. Frank, we are located in western Iowa, just across the river and a few miles east of Omaha, Nebraska. Let me get this up on the screen. Here you go.
Oh yeah.
This is the view from our home on Monday night was absolutely breathtaking. We could see it faintly a couple of years ago, but you really needed the phone camera to bring out the colors. This time it was vibrant green and red across the entire sky to the north, terrifying and beautiful at the same time. We stood out in the dark with our children for a good 20 minutes, taking it all in. On the topic of looking up from the start of the shutdown to the skies in our area, they have been remarkably clear, and our views have been much less hazy than normal. This has been tried on almost every day until yesterday anyway. Not sure how this is related, but the timing is suspect. Photos of each are below. Keep up the good work and loving the show's growth and changes, sir. This is from Aaron. So we got a couple of really incredible shots from him, and then of course there is welcome back to reality. Now, I don't know. Listen, I don't know what the hell's going on. I have different ideas just from based on the interviews I've conducted. There's definitely geoengineering operations in and of themselves that are running. But most of the tracks that we see in the sky, they really are. I mean, it's the standard fuel quality is terrible, and of course there is atmospheric conditions that actually make them a lot more visible on certain days than others. So there's a lot of things going on. It all contributes to the same end. But as far as what we saw here during the so-called shutdown versus not, I don't know how much I can attribute this to the shutdown, because so little of the government is actually shut down during that time. But what do you think? I mean, you've observed things, you talk to other people, you're collecting evidence, whether they be anecdotal, circumstantials, whatever. But talk a little bit about what conclusions you're drawing on all this.
So it was 96 degrees here almost every single day until they announced that the government was going to reopen. Then it has now dropped to 55 degrees. And we just had a rainstorm today, and it was a huge rainstorm. You could see it. It looked like a mushroom cloud just moving north all the way up to Sedona. And what I noticed was in the last 2 to 3 days, which everybody in Arizona has been reporting this, the sky's looking exactly like this. And I actually filmed it so people could see how bad it was. This is actually less than what my backyard looked like. And after about a good barrage, I would say about 500 planes, because I can watch them. They go directly over my place. They go completely north, like they go south to north. And it's just, you just see plane and plane and plane and plane. And I've gone on the flight radar. It doesn't say that it's a domestic plane that's traveling around. It doesn't say that there's a commercial jet. It's just plane after plane after plane after plane. And I'm actually going to get a Nikon 1000 or whatever it is to actually film all this so you guys can see this. But anyways, they barrage the skies. And then it has now dropped about 40 to 50 degrees. And it was crazy because when I was going hiking just north of here, I was going hiking over by the lake. And when I was going hiking, I would make a joke. I would say, the skies are so clear ever since the government shut down. And all the people on the trails were laughing. They were like, yeah, it actually is. Because it was so blue here. I'm talking, I have videos, the bluest I have ever seen in Arizona since back in 2016 and 15, when I first originally was traveling out here to look at places to open up a gym. But the skies were crystal blue. And now it literally looks exactly like what it used to look like, and 10,000 times worse. And on top of that, that Aurora Borealis that you showed, we had that all the way to my house. I could see that. And I looked up the patents on that, and I looked up the scientists who were creating fake Aurora Borealises in 2023 and 2024. And then the patents, I guess, go back to the 1900s. So, a lot of stuff, it's like almost like when that event happened, then they're like, okay, now just go full-fledged. Because that's the only thing I can see right now. Because like I said, when you see 95 degrees, I was making jokes. It's October 31st. It's 90 degrees here. It's, Halloween. Everybody's out. It's the day before that, the next day, the next day, the next day, every single day. And then as soon as they announced that they came up with the deal, and we're going to open up, well, then all of a sudden they started barraging the skies. And it's very strange, because like you said, a lot of the stuff is shut down, but then not everything is shut down. But I do remember I reached out to the Arizona government, and I actually asked them about what this is. And I sent them pictures because I was like, you guys maybe might know because you control the water here and whatever else. And they said that other states are doing it over Arizona. And I thought, okay, so what, is there any jurisdiction? Because you control the water. So if the water is going to the people, shouldn't there be jurisdiction for what lands into the water? And they said, we have no jurisdiction over that. And I thought, okay, so what's the point of the government? You're all useless, per the usual.
They were essentially saying what was going on in the sky was laid down in another state and essentially just drifted over you.
So they have planes that can travel over. That's literally what when I emailed them, they said that planes can travel over our state of Arizona and do this. And it's perfectly fine because it's going to move to, I guess, their state, like let's say New Mexico. So if they do stuff that's going to go from New Mexico, they can do it over Arizona. And I asked them, I go, well, that's kind of strange because you own the canal, with all the water and everything that's falling down from whatever is being put into here to just blanket the skies. And Arizona is the easiest control because we have all blue skies. It's crystal blue and it's hot. So you see when it just flips, you can see how it doesn't make sense. And that's why I've started to realize, like, I don't even think seasons at this point are even real. Because even when I used to live in Chicago at the time, all of a sudden I would see the planes come out and it would get like fall and it would get like winter. And then we even had like snow in June, which I'll never forget. There was snow in June when I had my gym. And I thought, this doesn't happen. But then it was back to 80 degrees. So there's all this like flip flop, which I think also has to do with since they're manipulating the earth so much. When you mess with one spot, you're now messing with another, So when you start tweaking one place and making it cold over here, it's going to get hot over here because Mother Nature just works like that. It tries to balance itself out. And when I was reporting on that Jamaica hurricane, I mean, that thing on Zoom Earth, when I was watching it, was going to go from category 1 to category 5 overnight. And it was going to completely curve and go into, the ocean. And I thought, well, how come it's not going straight? It's going specifically this way. And I actually commented on some Weather Channel YouTube channels, like real big ones, and I got banned talking about weather modification. So I thought, oh, okay. So you guys like Rex or whoever this Rex Weather, whatever it is, you guys are just repeating the same stuff. And what's more nuts is obviously Jamaica, they're the whole country and everything. They want to do a lot of smart cities and digital currency over there. So it just so happens that this storm hits. So it's just kind of, we've covered this, me and you, a million times.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think of things as chance anymore when I watch 95 degrees for 4 months straight. And then now I have 55 and I had, you know, got to wear a sweater.
No, a pattern. When you, I don't know at that point how many people just take for granted or just assume that whatever the hell's going on above them is just always there. If they notice, hey, well, you know, there's always that cross thatching in the sky, and all of a sudden they start paying attention during a government shutdown during a few weeks there, and they realize that, well, this is definitely out of the norm. What are you going to tell people, that their experience is not valid? They're not seeing what they're seeing. So I was taking note of that. I didn't really have anything to compare it to. It kind of seemed about average for me over here. But when it came to the Aurora Borealis, that was all over the place. The one thing about this that gets me is I got in touch with my buddy Brooks Agnew. And Brooks has done a lot of work on HAARP, on geological weaponry, all that other stuff. So he's not really a guy who likes hugging the official stories about one thing or another, and what HAARP really does, what its stated intent was for finding resources and everything else, and then of course what it was able to do as a pretty much a resonant weapon. He told me, because I said, what do you think about the Aurora across the entire country? And he said that his conclusion from all of his friends, his ham operators, his sources that are hams, they said that the radio signals for HAARP just were not there. That is usually something that is picked up on the ham end of things, that this was really all solar activity. And I wanted to ask you about that in particular, because I know that you track the HAARP angle, but with the solar activity, sunspot activity angle on this, that is also a doorway into a big planetary transformation theory. There's a lot of theories there on that end there too, about impending magnetic or geophysical shifts or whatever the hell is going to go on there. Where do you tend to gravitate on this? Is it more so HAARP?
Well, with the whole solar thing, I don't believe that the flares are kind of popping out and changing things. I think that the electricity in the earth is actually increasing. I mean, you can feel the electricity in your hands. I mean, you can go like that and you can feel the electricity in your hands when you hold the device. And that's been taking place the entire time in which all of this Aurora Borealis and things have been going on. Because when they crank up, you know, when the energy of the earth cranks up as well, the electricity of that, then things start to happen too. Now, if we go back in time, you have the 1850s Carrington event, which was this event where this alleged solar flare came and then it took everything out. So, you know, you wonder, there's things with this weird stuff with the sprays in the sky. Sometimes I wonder, you know, if something is occurring, you know, here's just a flip side. Are they doing it so that the technology doesn't get it blasted out of, you know, use, basically, right? There was the Cloudflare thing that just happened today. There was the Amazon thing that just happened, but there was that Polygon operation where they were going to shut down the whole grid and things like that. So, you know, for me, I mean, when I look at a lot of pictures and a lot of things, I don't really believe that solar flares are causing these things. I don't believe the sun is that far away. The moon doesn't seem that far away. I can see it, you know, directly behind me. I watch it all the time and everything else. But I think that there's a lot of stuff with the earth and the energy of the earth that is connected. And then as they manipulate, like, I think it was Operation Woodpecker, I think it was, like in the 1960s, where they used radios and they sent radio signals up into the air and then they flooded out a whole bunch of places, you know, or they took out a lot of bees doing that and things like that.
You're talking about the Russian woodpecker?
That's, I think that's what it was. Yeah. And then there was another one done in America too. But, the thing is even with the radios now, I mean, these little cell towers, they're everywhere. I mean, they're every less than a mile now. You see cell phone towers everywhere. So you don't really need, in my opinion, at least this is how I see it, the HARP that used to be up in Alaska that was, cooking that area and things like that. They've put these towers everywhere. And then because people love new technology and they'll get, 5G and all of this and bring it into their home and everything else. Their house is now that too, right? Like the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, the Alexa, the Ring doorbell, all of that is all pinging too. And so if you think about it, they've turned houses into grids, and then they've turned the towers into grids and the electric vehicles into grids. When you have that much, think of how much energy is also going up. So they're basically turning everything into this, like you said, this planetary change, if you want to say. And then they will sell you robots and Elon Musk and everything else. But my thing with it is, when I looked up the Aurora Borealis in Arizona, it said every 30 years. Then I found pictures showing it every year. So I thought, okay, that doesn't make any sense. And I go, this has only been happening since the pandemic, like specifically during the time when they were rolling these things out. And that's kind of my thing on it, because it just personally, with all the books and everything I've gone through, I don't really believe anything of what I've been sold anymore, because there's too much where you look through this and, it doesn't make sense for what we have been told. And this caused this and that. It seems it's always much simpler, but we kind of can make it like much more extravagant.
Okay, so then with that, let's get into some reels together, because I think that we're gonna have a good time with this one. I had this first one up is let me get you on screen. Here we go. This first one up is from Albany, New York. Okay, we've talked about ancient cities in modern cities with ancient ties, whether or not there was a greater version of us at some point, what has been steamrolled off the earth, what history is being hidden, and why. Well, here is somebody did a little bit of a breakdown of some very, very interesting things in Albany, which used to be a canal city like Venice. And here we go.
This is for a boat. What do you watch? You see where I'm at? You see this castle, right? The same castle right here. This is all water underneath these streets before they paved over it. It's the same castle right here. This whole thing was where they docked boats right on this temple. You got two cleats back to back on the side of this temple. There's water will run underneath it. I showed the canals in Cahoes today. What do you think's under this city? There was all water in here first. This is in Cahoes. See how the whole city's full of water? The canals ran into this city. They covered these streets up in Cahoes the same way they covered these ones up, right here in front. Just like that. We were like Venice. Yeah, that's what I was saying. This whole place was like Italy. And on all these tunnels they talk about underneath the street, those are the old canal systems. I'll show you.
So, Matt, I mean, this is what it comes down to. Whether there was greater utility to paving over all that stuff, I don't know. I don't know what I buy. Seems like a lot of effort to make a city look worse. That it looked elegant and beautiful. That was Albany, New York. It looked like you were actually taking an 8mm camera back in time to ancient Greece or something like that. And obviously you're not just taking, well, this was just some architectural a change. What do you think is going on here?
So they did rebuild a lot of the stuff and cover everything up. I mean, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, who own pretty much most of the construction agencies throughout America, they did cover a lot of things up. You go into downtown New York City, and you can see there's layers and layers deep. You look at one building and then you walk down the stairs and you're at the next level. Then you go down to the next level and there's multiple layers below you. This is why a lot of people would kind of fall through the ground. You always hear about on the news, there was a patch on the road that it all collapsed and they found out that there's something else down there. So we've just built on top and it's just layers. And if you think about this from another angle with that, is when we have a lot of water, say a hurricane comes in and you have a flood, well, the water also rises from below the ground as well, because it's together. So then you cause a flood to go up. And on that note, because this is where it gets really crazy, you go to the Palisades fires. Remember those? The Palisade fires were taking place. Well, there's gas, natural gas, that used to light all the lamps that were in the city. And when those fires were taking place, well, the gas is coming up. So you got explosions and fires. So we are on this level, and basically there are multiple other levels below us, and they have covered up a lot of things. And this is why usually when you look at a building from the first angle, you see that the stairs are right at the, the eye level, I guess you could say. And then there's always stairs that go up. And when I went to the museum, it's in Central Park, it's the Natural History Museum. I asked the guy, why are the stairs built up? And he said, because there's multiple levels below. And I thought, that's kind of silly. You built them out of travertine and you built them up to make it higher so that you're on level 2. He's like, yeah, this is floor number 2. And I asked him, well, what's this building made out of? He said 100% travertine. And I said, 100% travertine. You sculpted this? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So what I've realized is the Rockefeller, Rothschild, scummy people, they patched things and built over things and then taught people, how to do things so that they then could, build over something and then cover it up. And the thing is it only takes a generation to forget, because this is when I've gone into all the old world and the old world buildings and all the books and the pictures and the things that I've collected now to this point where it's nuts. But the more I've gone into this, people would say, well, I don't remember that. Well, most people don't remember what they did yesterday. So, with a lot of the stuff, it doesn't take long for people to forget. And then generations have been, culled. World War I, World War II was getting rid of not only a lot of strong men who would fight for the country and defend the country, but number 2, it also got rid of the memories that are tied to these buildings. Because there are some documents and footage of 90-year-old people talking about they remember going to the World's Fair and going to all these things and seeing these buildings and these things. But if they're no longer around with us anymore, then we just think it's fantasy. But we are living on the old world, if you get into like Atlantis and all of this beauty that used to be here, it's just been hijacked. These Muppets and these puppets and these politicians have hijacked these buildings, or these bankers have hijacked these buildings and then said that they are now theirs. But that's kind of my take on it. And that video you just showed is the same thing people have shown in Chicago with the Museum of Science and Industry, because a lot of people will always say these buildings are temporary. Well, the buildings are built out of stone. So that's not really temporary. And then when I go through the past, which I have with Arizona and other places, these buildings are all catching on fire. Stone is not catching on fire. Granite buildings that look like Rome and, like the Colosseum do not really catch on fire. It's stone. So there's so many holes. And the more I would poke through this, the more I'm like, oh, okay, this is what we're living with. And we forgot, because there's been so many resets. And that's why I used the Jamaica example. That's another reset. That just wiped so much stuff, so much infrastructure, so many things, all like that. And it only needs a second to do those things that you can now teach the next generation that climate change is real and that hurricane was caused by climate change.
Well, that's why anytime there is a really catastrophic act of God, especially when it's weather based these days, the first thing that people are looking into is whether or not there are any pre-existing plans to bring in some kind of a smart city layout, or anything, any kind of contract that was given to transform one area into something new and very 15-minute city-ish, and that's always the first thing that people are looking up. What contracts have been signed prior to, and if there's any rare earth mineral deposits, or these are the go-to for internet sleuths now when it comes to catastrophic events, especially when it comes to very quickly developing weather patterns. Anyway, very interesting. I don't want to get stuck on this because we have more. And it's 8:45. Maybe we have time for one more. Who knows? Here is a UFO, a plane, and a shooting star in the same frame. This is from Blue Line Bow Hunters. This is from Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania, and it was on October 6th. And I just want you to take a look at this, and I want to see what the hell you think about it.
Through thermal under white hot. There's a truck. You can zoom in on the truck. Let's get our focus. Okay, That truck is about 150 yards away. Okay. Now, that's the moon. And we're just going to start scanning the sky because there's a lot of shit going on that you can't see with the naked eye that I cannot explain. They're not bugs. They're not bats. Here. That's what a plane looks like. Okay. And there's something next to the plane. I don't know what it is. Okay. There goes a shooting star, I think. But you catch my drift? That's out in front of the plane. And I don't know what it is. It's like the plane's following it. Not a satellite. They're all over the place. Can't see them with the naked eye. No idea what they are. But they're freaking. See that one just turned?
Yeah. I mean,
Turn.
those are now, if this is not doctored, those are crazy physical feats as far as turning on a dime at what you have to imagine is very high speeds. And you can't see. Matt, I've been seeing and hearing these stories of people who are examining the night sky with either night vision goggles, any kind of thermal or whatever, and it reveals almost like a whole new ecosystem of activity going on above us. Have you ever observed the desert sky through night vision or anything else like that? This is Pennsylvania, but that's the question I have for you, and then general thoughts about what the hell you think stuff like this is.
So I have not, but I do know that there were people who had those infrared goggles during Vietnam, I believe, and they were seeing all kinds of stuff. And this kind of reminds me of the Dr. Kilner glasses as well, too, where you could change the spectrum of light and see different things, see the aura. So what that looks like what that fellow is doing is the same exact thing. And I have an infrared meter. I have gone out. I will have to go out at nighttime. I have gone out during the day to measure the temperature of the sun and get 600 degrees, which is funny. But I have gone out there to do that, but I haven't seen anything at that. I will take it out at nighttime and see what I can see. But as for what's going on, there's a lot that takes place inside our realm. You can get into things going through the realm. You can get into things being in the realm. You can get into, the technology that is here, that's already been here, that they've already had, like World War II. Victor Schauberger's work was already the first flying saucer. He already had that technology. Then when the Americans took that technology, you have the first flying saucer, and then 10 years later you have Roswell and that whole incident occurring right after they got Schauberger's technology. So if you think about that, that's 1959, I think it is, or whatever it is, 1960s. So if you already have that technology, there's probably a lot more. There's probably stuff that we can't even fathom. And like I said, our technology, I can barely get a high quality video for this stuff nowadays, but I'm sure there's a lot more stuff that's much more advanced, and I would imagine that whatever's going on in the skies, you can see shooting stars. I see them all the time over here. There's probably a lot of stuff where if we actually could zoom in, it would be really interesting. And a lot of people talked about, I remember this, they talked about the planes that were spraying were completely holographic, and people were zooming in with their phones and they were showing this. So that kind of takes it to a whole nother level, of what simulation matrix thing we are currently living in. But, honestly, at this point, I wouldn't put it past me that there's all kinds of stuff going on between us and everything else, because when you really look at it, the amount of technology, the amount of things, like a basic, 20 mile to the gallon car, we had that in 1910, 1902. We have beyond the technology. So I would imagine they're trying to use it in, I don't know, either mess with our minds, or it could be just picking up different frequencies that we can't see. Kind of like when a person uses mushrooms, it changes the frequency in which they can see so they can pick up on different realities that are also taking place in the reality that we're currently living in.
You're talking about Dysianin glasses. Is that what they called?
Yes, Dysianin glasses. That's a copper-based petro tar that used to be placed onto the glasses. And I believe those glasses were banned by the government. Of course, that's how it always goes. But it was a copper-based coal tar that would be put onto the glasses. It would change the spectrum, and it would allow Dr. Kilner to see people's auras. And then he could diagnose their health based on their auras, similar to Kirlian photography, which is where you capture a corona charge of the body, and you could determine their health. So these are just manipulating the spectrums, and that's why I say mushrooms, because it's the exact same thing. When a person goes to consume mushrooms or messes around with any of those things, even mugwort, any of those things, what they're doing is they're manipulating, their visible light spectrum. So that's kind of what that device is doing, in my opinion, too, so you can see different things.
Well, then this is going to be a good one to end with then, because you've already mentioned the realm a couple of times, and I'm sure you have some thoughts about the ice wall then. And this video, here's the caption: the Germans got it right about the ice wall. The moon shows a reflection of the Earth. And so we have there's a contingent of people who in the audience who are ardent flat earthers, and but there are also a lot of people who go to different places there too. There's hollow Earth. There's as far as the Earth being probably maybe, I don't know, 10 times larger than they say it is, like that there are hidden continents, and that we're just dealing with size and proportion and all types of, information and knowledge suppressing treaties that really could keep us like rats in a small colony over here. I don't know. I'm sure we can go on for 3 hours after this, but I want to watch you. I want to watch this with you. Take a listen to this kid that I found in one of my doom scrolls the other night. It was incredible. But here we go.
That the Nazis were probably actually right about this, and I have more proof than I did before that the moon is a reflection of the Earth, and it shows all of our continents up there and acts as a sort of map in the sky. And this is why the Germans in World War II were so interested in going to Antarctica, because they want to see what continents were past there. Because I heard Admiral Byrd say that when he flew over Antarctica, he saw a landmass as the size of America. So they wanted to go over there and check it out, and that's why there's so many German bases over in Antarctica. And this whole movement about this map has gone on for so long, and people have been researching it for so long, and they discovered that the sun takes a cycle of about 25,000 years. It goes around the entire moon, which is really just the Earth, and it warms up 1/4 of all the landmass that are frozen under the ice. And here's a more detailed view of that same moon map that you can see clearly that all these continents over here, that's ours. It's Africa, North America, Europe. They're all the same shape. And the reason why this region is all warm is because this is where the sun is. It's in this quarter of the moon map. But once you reach these other areas, it's all frozen because the sun doesn't even go over there. But if it did, all these places would be warmed up. And they were warmed up 25,000 years ago. And it's possible that's when the Lord of the Rings times were as well. And here's my extra proof compared to the last video I made. On May 3rd, 1964, a newspaper article was written about this because of all the research that had been going on post-World War II about what exactly the Germans had been doing in Antarctica. So it turns out that the Nazis... Okay, so the moon map, it had been a long time since I heard this one, and I wanted to bring it up because, it does those negative images, if you twist them around and all that stuff, it really can look like the arrangement of continents plus many extras. And of course, it's very easy to not even pick that up if you don't ever perceive of there being any more land mass other than what we've been told with the continents, the 7 continents. But when it comes to Admiral Byrd, I've talked about, I've taken big dives into high jump in the past, Matt, and there's the jury's out on whether or not that transcript of him going beyond the South Pole and seeing so much more beyond there is always, and that's always hotly debated whether or not that was real or not. But if it was, he was talking about that theory in particular. He was talking about lush lands, almost like land before time green, where there is, extinct species that were still alive, and it almost looked like a thriving advanced society. It very not iced over because it hadn't had sun in 25,000 years. So that's the difference in the story there. What's your take on all this?
So there's multiple things. The moon map one, there was a fellow who was on YouTube who put up a lot of that stuff, and YouTube removed all of his videos. They said that they went against the guidelines. So that's that typical thing, just like they removed my video today about bee pollen. But anyways, that's a typical thing. Anytime you're onto the truth, they seem to remove you. So, and the other thing too is if you ever take a prism, I don't know if you ever taken a prism, like a circular prism or a triangular prism or anything, and you look through it and you put it close to your eyes, kind of like that, it'll actually flip everything upside down. So what we are currently seeing is the spectrum from the prisms of our eyes, but we can't see the full spectrum of everything. And prisms are actually really cool to look into. So people can get prisms and go outside and look at things, and they'll see everything's kind of inverted and flipped upside down. So same with that map. That's why I was using that as an example. He then turned it kind of flat, like kind of like that, to kind of show how it shows something different. And then as for when you go to Antarctica and the Arctic and all of this, I had long ago when I was in the gym, I brewed up this tea and I had this out of body experience at the gym. I was actually out of my body. I was above my body.
Damn.
Almost like the game Call of Duty. That's the best way to describe it. And I remember I asked my buddy who was a Navy SEAL, why didn't we ever go to Antarctica? And he said, you can't. You're just not allowed to go. He said you have to have military permission. And I thought, military permission, why are you hiding something on, in a certain selected area? Now, if you go into the Admiral Byrd thing that you just talked about, if there was land, which was luscious, and there was a whole bunch of animals and other things that people haven't seen, well, that would actually change the way people look at the world. The entire nonsense that we've been fed by NASA and all the nonsense we were shown with Bill Nye, the science guy, who is an actor, but all of those things, that would all fall apart. So I feel like for that reason, they've always had to try to stop that. There was a YouTuber kid who flew up there and they took down his airplane. He actually tried to film it live and tried to fly all the way up there, and they actually took down his airplane. So, there's a lot with this, and you have to ask yourself why people would be so worried about people going and exploring this. And when you look at all the technology from Germany, because I could go into all the technology from Germany, but when you look at all that, they were, years ahead of their time. They had the stealth fighters and all these things before everybody else and whatever else. So they understood things about the realm, and I think that they were trying to connect to understand it more. Meanwhile, they're getting attacked from every angle, and the bankers are trying to destroy their country and whatever. But when you look at this, if you started looking at just your map and you started seeing that there was extra land, or there was this and there was that, you would start to question things. And they can have people question things. Just like if we write this back right to the beginning, if the government was shut down and the skies are blue, well, they need to open back up the skies because people are asking too many questions. Or I'm sorry, open back up the government because people are asking too many questions. And that we kind of see that, kind of like with everything, even with Charlie Kirk. Now they're like, oh, we move you over here. And they always do that. So that's kind of my take on that. And I think that there's much more to this realm. I don't think that we have this, this little plot of land. I think the land is huge. And I think also the population of the people is probably about 60% less than what we've been told. So when you start to think about that, that changes the way you think. And then if you knew that there was additional land that's out elsewhere, you would be like, I want to go. But if you don't know it exists, you stay put and you don't ask questions and you don't look in the sky and you don't even look into history and see how you've been lied to on almost every single thing that you can go through.
I'll tell you, I would actually petition my entire family to follow me to move beyond the ice wall if I knew that there was something nice there that was not as icy. That's what I'm saying. If it was just, if it really was like, hey, we just got more, I'd like to just unplug a little bit. I really would. I love talking about this, and I always wonder, I really do, especially because the Admiral Byrd stuff goes into hollow earth theory as well. Whatever the hell it is, it just always insinuates and challenges you to think that even the most basic understanding of our world and the stage on which all of our known history played out on could be not as it seems. Like, that's the most basic thing, the stage, the staging ground for history.
Well, and if I can interrupt on that, I mean, think of what's going on with the skies, like what me and you see, and we're going, well, this doesn't make sense. But the next generation growing up, like the kids, they might think this is completely normal. So if you start telling them any of the things that me and you now are talking about, They're going to be like, dude, these people are crazy. They're telling us that they used to have these puffy clouds, and it's like, well, we now have straight clouds. So that's why I was saying, like, even with generations, you could change that. And then also, too, yes, to keep an open mind to, like you said, all the things that you've been lied to, and then realizing that a lot of things have just been flipped. And I've realized the more you just look at how much it's been flipped, it's really easy to see and then kind of piece together rather than being like, this doesn't make sense, and then just kind of leaving it at that.
It's essentially a 15-minute continent instead of a 15-minute city. That's what they're trying to do here. Matt, you know what? We got to start. I just realized we got to start doing this more often. I mean, I hit a really good streak the other night on Instagram where I was sitting on the couch with my wife, and this video popped up. The other 3 videos popped up. I said, what the hell am I in right now? I said, this is great. I haven't seen any of these really deep dive, human lore videos in a long time. And so I'm going to just start saving these up. I'd love to do some rapid fire conspiracy videos with you a little bit more often, if you'd be cool with that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yeah, we'll definitely do some.
Well, where can people find you? Of course, cultivateelevate.com. Got some of the cleanest, most innovative, great supplements out there. Tell us, everybody, about your website and, of course, your streaming and posting schedule.
So they can go to cultivateelevate.com, and we're actually having our Black Friday sale. So if anybody wants to try any of our products, they can use code BF, and they can get a great discount on any of our superfoods. And I do post up on Instagram. I put up on YouTube. I put up on Twitter, Telegram. I try to be everywhere because I am censored like no other. YouTube just pulled my video today, just talking about bee pollen. Like, just that's pretty much what it was. So, I try to put my stuff everywhere. But yeah, there's our website right there. There's our code BF. We got pearl powder, which helps heal the eyes, the hair, the skin, the nails. Yes, your eyesight can regenerate. We also have shilajit, which is great at pulling out heavy metals and toxins. And then we also have dragon's blood, which is the original tree sap that just heals the whole body, and it's great for detoxing the body. But I try to put everything everywhere so people have an opportunity to find the information, because like you were talking about, I was listening when you were first talking before I joined about how people only can find things on one channel. That's why I try to put my stuff everywhere, because a lot of the stuff, even if you're searching, like you just said, on one channel, like let's say Instagram, you only get limited information. And they're doing certain things now where, like, if you're in the UK or you're in Australia, you can't see the United States posts. So there's little notifications I've been getting recently on Instagram. This post cannot be shown in Australia. This post cannot be shown in the UK. So, they are kind of separating it. So that's why I try to put information everywhere so people can find it.
Well, I hope that people can find it. I mean, even just the fact that you are... we actually talk a lot on Telegram. You often pop up in the comments of my tiny little Telegram channel. It's great to see you always just so active there. Twitter, I know that you do what you can where you can, but as always, it's great to have these conversations with you on the show, and I look forward to the next one.
Definitely. Thank you for having me on, Frank. I'll see you next time.
All right, take care, Matt. There you go, everybody. Matt, cultivateelevate.com. I liked it. I liked it a lot. All right, let's get to your super chats, and then I'm taking you right into the other realm. That is the flip side. Jeannie Yankee fan says Matt is full of great information. Incredible conversation every time. Listen, there are things, of course, that I reserve judgment on. Like, for example, when we were talking about the old Yankee Stadium. Where did it come from? All the granite, all that. Was it there before? Of course, it wasn't there before. But there are reasons why that. There are very real psychological reasons why you would steamroll a society out of existence. We're seeing that cultural steamrolling going on right now. A population collapse and replacement. The collapse was planned. It's cultural, it's biochemical. The replacement was planned. That's also cultural. There is then of course there is a very real psychological reason for why you would get away from classically built buildings and instead bring in these brutalist, ugly pieces of shit that really invoke nothing but dread and death feelings in people. and not like being proud of yourself and your culture and all that stuff. And wow, how gorgeous, everything's so ornate and beautiful. So I understand there's a big reason. There is a very fundamental and practical reason why, if you're going to conquer a people and control the way that they evolve as a society, you would want to be able to tightly control new generations' perception of the past. As far as Albany goes, though, I can just as easily believe that railroads and trucks made canals completely uncompetitive. I can also believe that, so that there's just like traffic considerations there, early 20th century, that it's just all, there could be public health issues there. Maintenance. You think about, I've never been to Italy, but everybody I know that has lived there or has vacationed there often or can tell you anything about Venice, they talk about how Venice is a disaster as far as how horrible it is to actually maintain those canals, and that eventually so many of these buildings are just going to collapse. That what's floating them. So I mean, I don't know. I think about that too. So there could be just practical reasons why a city like Albany upgrades and moves away from the canal system. I mean, Albany would maybe, if they maintain the canal, it would be much prettier. It would definitely be a place where people would want to go and see it for themselves. You know, the Venice of the Western Hemisphere, Albany, New York, which is crazy to even think about that. But how crazy would it be to navigate through that city? It probably would have never become the capital city, or they might have moved the capital. I don't know. How would that have been able to handle modern traffic? Maybe somebody could do that analysis and let me know. So I like thinking about it, because there is very practical, real reasons why the old world needs to be and is being wiped away. How many times has the reset button be hitting? The reset button. Hit the reset button. Love it. Anyway, that's all I got for you in that. Okay, let's get to our super chats, and we're going to be going into the flip side. Two Dogs Mike D, my man, says, why is there a Rothschild Island off the coast of Antarctica? That I did not know. Oh, by the way, I don't know what the date is yet, and I don't want to get too crazy, but I think Robert Sepper is going to be coming on the show in January. We haven't set a date yet, but we were talking about it. Mark it down. Hopefully I get to talk to Robert another 36 times on the show after his 2026 debut. But we will be talking about high jump. We will be talking about Admiral Byrd. We will be talking about the Vril. We will be talking about the Nazis. That is definitely going to be episode 1. There's no doubt about it. Mark it down. Write into the show. Send me any kind of questions you want me to consider for the notes of that night. Mark it down. That's going to be awesome. Let's see here. Jeannie, thank you. Anonymous says, thanks, Frank. Love your show, too. It's, Venal? Venial? I don't know what that is. Anyway, all these people I'm reading right now are going to be in the running for the ounce of silver I'm going to give away at the end of tomorrow night's show. It's tonight and tomorrow super chats. You'll be in it. Let's see here. Rockman Drums says, here's $10. Much love, Frank. That is from Twitch. I can't believe I just got a $10 super chat on Twitch. It really is great to have that platform back in the loop, and to actually have it be, to actually use it and not feel like it's that's great. I hope we keep doing well over there. That would be wonderful. Thank you, Rockman. Rosie says, I'm here for the Dick Silvers. I know you are. Flim Flam Man 1975 says, Frank, play the Austedo XR drug commercial. It's on YouTube. It will be the first search result. We laughed for 10 minutes straight after seeing it on ABC News. If your eyes and mouth are moving, call a doctor. What? Send it to me in email. Send it to me in email. I'll have it in the running for tomorrow night. Send it to me. Jay Britt says, I'm enjoying Studio B tonight. Thank you. I am too. And 2 hours ago, this is from 2 hours ago, we did this. Thank you again, Larry Whitaker. Over on Rumble, let's see what people are saying over there. People are hanging out, having a good time. That's good. And last but certainly not least, Pilled. Pilled.net. Let's see what the people are saying on Pilled.net. A little shot of Go Juice to get the evening rolling, says Dub Helix. Moira says, so good to be part of this Frankly family. Continue prayers for my Todd. He's in ICU tonight, made it through the brain surgery yesterday, but had a mini stroke. He can't move his dominant arm. God willing, he'll fully recover and will be with me again at the next Frankly event. Moira, I don't know if I didn't want to put this out there because, of course, it was personal information, but Moira and her Todd were at the Jamboree, and around the Jamboree, he started feeling something wasn't right. Just say that, and since then there has been these situations with him, brain surgeries, and always praying that they're doing well. I'm glad to hear that the surgery went well, and that hopefully that this mini stroke is just something that gets patched up and recovers from nicely. Please send him all of our love, and I can't wait to hear the good news of his speedy recovery. Nathan says, Brett was an absolute delight. He's got to come back on soon. Love the nostalgia. Yeah, Brett is one of those guys that this is why it's just so awesome to get more people from the audience, to learn more about people from the audience. It's the everyday conversations. We don't have to have gigantic names on every night to have a great show. It's the human element. Brett was fantastic. I love that. Vesper says, did Frank say silver? You damn right. And you're in the running now. Secret Weapon, thank you. Silly Boris is loving the show as always. Thanks, Frank. Rev says, get your hand off my penis. Get your hand off my penis. Which is to say, Dick Laser and Silver Round, of course. You got it. You're in. Ohio Kimmy, thank you. Amethyst Cat, happy Tuesday, Frank. I want some silver, please. Much love. You're in. And remember, you're counted more than once. I'm not doing, it's whatever you throw in. They're like traditional raffles now. You buy a couple of tickets, you're in. Deansy says, you have the coolest closet ever. Loving the decor. Thank you. NX17 says, love you, Frank. Love you, NX. Anyway, I'm going to catch you guys on the flip side. It's 9:12. I'll make sure that we do a couple of minutes more. The lights aren't going to go off at 9:30 over here. But you've been wonderful to me. I appreciate you. And we have another round of this tomorrow night. It's going to be good. Okay. Take care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Adios.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah, Quite Frankly is filmed before a live studio audience, and now our super chatters. There's way too many to say tonight, but I just want to say I love you all. Thank you. Oh, Nancy Lambert. Thank you so much, Nancy. She just threw in. Thank you to everybody on Twitch and on YouTube and on Quite Frankly Superchat.com and on the Gold Pills, and even you sleepy Rumble people. I love you too. But listen, check the chat room, because here comes the Flipside link. Good night.
They sent me to a psychiatrist all morning. I took like 1 million tests.
A psychiatrist?
Yeah, 'cause I got suspended and everything.
They sent you to a psychiatrist?
Yeah.
But that's crazy. That's all nonsense. That's nothing but a racket for the Jews. To a psychiatrist? But that's crazy. That's all nonsense. That's nothing but a racket for the Jews.